Congress is about to hand a foreign government a permanent, growing claim on our trillion-dollar military budget, stolen from our collective taxes, and time is running out to pressure them to stop it. My opponent, 30-year AIPAC-funded Congressman AIPAC Adam Smith, went on a national podcast last week with Breaking Points. The Pentagon has thousands of programs, he said. Section 219 touches maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, he wasn't even sure how many, calling it dangerous, an incredible exaggeration. He wants you to count programs. I want you to ask what those programs do. Because sure, the Pentagon's got thousands of programs. Uniforms, spare parts, buttons, and bootlaces. That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about artificial intelligence for the U.S. military. Autonomous weapons, also known as killer robots. Cyber warfare, intelligence capture, biotechnology. The systems that decide what counts as a threat and who becomes a target. 6 programs like that are not the same as 600 or 6,000 spare parts contracts. 6 programs like that can be the brain and the nervous system of the whole machine for decades to come. It started as Section 224. Today it's Section 219 in the House bill, with matching language moving in the Senate. Here's what it creates. A permanent executive office inside the Pentagon tasked with accelerating U.S.-Israel military integration. Its whole job, expand our military's dependence on a foreign government's defense industry faster. Its authority, according to policy analysts who've studied the bill, outranks the Pentagon's own office responsible for blocking risky technology transfers. This, with a country that our own intelligence agencies have flagged as the highest espionage threat level against America that we have, higher than many formal adversaries. This isn't just giving our tax dollars to a foreign country. It's putting our wealth into their hands, giving away our military data, creating killer protocols and robot weapon development pipelines with a country that's been committing genocide before our eyes for years now. And this milking of Americans is explicitly structured to grow. Here's why this matters more than any other line item in the defense bill. Intelligence is the fuel. It's what the military sees. AI is what processes it, what gets flagged, who gets flagged to live or die. Cyber systems are how access moves, who's in the network, whose eyes can see what. And weapons, particularly autonomous ones, are where all of that lands as trauma on a human body. So, when a co-developed targeting algorithm flags a human being as a target, who determined why? Whose data trained it? Whose rules govern it? Who's accountable when it's wrong? That's not a question of procurement and vendor contracts. It's a question of sovereignty. Here's why this lands in our pockets. That's over $1 trillion of our money, and no cap on how much of it flows toward a foreign government that doesn't answer to you. They don't care if your healthcare is unaffordable. They don't care what groceries cost this month. They don't care if you can afford a car or even a bus pass just to get to work, or what crumbs are left over for infrastructure in your neighborhood. Their interest is their power. They've proven time and again they don't care about our interests or the rule of law. And this bill hands them a standing office whose only job is to keep expanding their share. No ceiling, no sunset. Every incentive and opportunity to keep extracting more American dollars, sweat, blood, and hard work for their wishes and whims. Every dollar that flows into an arrangement like that, open-ended, permanent, growing, is a dollar Congress will tell you next year we don't have for you. Now here's Adam Smith. He co-sponsored this bill, pushed to advance it, killed the amendment is his committee that would have stripped it out, got thanked by name, publicly, by AIPAC and Netanyahu for it. Then under pressure, he told his constituents he'd changed his mind and he'd fight to remove it. Days later, on national television, he told the country it barely mattered. What kind of flip-flopping hypocrisy, this whichever way the wind blows cowardly opportunism is this? Either it mattered enough to reverse his position, or it was just as small as he told the cameras. He doesn't get to have it both ways. So what actually changed between committee and that podcast? Not his convictions, his math. Because here's what else was happening in that window. My videos calling him out by name on this exact provision were pulling millions of views. A primary challenge he couldn't wave off anymore. 30 years in that seat suddenly seeming like it might not go on forever. He didn't discover his spine in July. He discovered Melissa Chowdhury. And he's not a bystander here, far from it. He's the ranking Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee. He'll be in the room when it gets decided. He still hasn't promised to vote against the final bill if it stays in. Now, here is exactly who else is in that room, who you can call right now. In the Senate, Majority Leader John Thune and Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. They control whether this ever gets an honest floor vote. Senate Armed Services Chairman Roger Wicker and Ranking Member Jack Reed. They're negotiating the language that comes out the other side. Our own senators, Patty Murray and Maria Cantwell, need to hear from Washington State that we expect them to fight for a standalone vote, not a rubber stamp buried in a 1,000-page bill. And Bernie Sanders, Chris Van Hollen, Elizabeth Warren, Ed Markey, Jeff Merkley, and Peter Welch are already holding the line in the Senate, refusing to let this move quietly. Call their offices, too, and tell them to keep up the fight. In the House, Speaker Mike Johnson and House Armed Services Chairman Mike Rogers will help decide what survives conference along with Adam Smith. Every one of those offices takes calls. Every one of those calls gets logged and counted. This is not over yet. Here's what's on the calendar right now. November, we vote. Mid-December, automatic draft registration switches on for every eligible young man in this country. Sometime after that, this year, maybe next, Congress may finalize the very language we're talking about when the Senate and the House reconcile their versions of the military spending bill that contains this heinous provision. Then, whatever's in the reconciled bill goes into effect. I'm not telling you there's a secret plan. I'm telling you what's proven in the same short window DC is making the machinery of the draft more active, more data integrated, more ready to go at a moment's notice, and making our military's entanglement with a foreign government more permanent, with almost no public debate on either one. Here's what we all should demand at minimum. Strip the executive agent provision or give it its own recorded vote, not a rider nobody gets to vote on. Require frequent, regular, public, independent audits of every AI and intelligence system this touches. And prohibit American technology from ever supporting violations of the law, full stop, with teeth. In your own calls, feel free to take that as much further as you'd like. These decisions should not get buried inside a 1,000-page bill. The public deserves to debate this before it's irreversible, not read about it after. Adam Smith has held this seat for almost 30 years. He's still downplaying what he led the charge in building. It's an insult to our intelligence, frankly. Now me, I'm Melissa Chowdhury, candidate for Congress in Washington's 9th District. My father and my husband are American heroes, decorated, disabled U.S. military veterans, Navy and Army both. I have lived family separation during deployments when I was a child. I have lived what war does to a household and a family long after the uniform comes off. I have carried the weight of what their service demanded of them, body, mind, and soul. This country told us liberty and justice for all. Then it spent our service and their sacrifice on wars of choice, wars of aggression, fought for private profit instead of genuine American interest. I know exactly what that costs because I've lived it. Subjecting our military to a foreign country is personally offensive to me. That is why I have the standing to fight this and why I won't back down. Unlike Smith, I don't take defense contractor money or money from the surveillance industrial complex, including Palantir. I don't take corporate PAC money. I don't take foreign interest money either. I will fight for American sovereignty, for constitutional war powers, for a real, meaningful public debate, assurance of constitutionality, and a specific vote on anything touching our American blood, sweat, hard work, tax dollars, or integrity before the switch gets flipped, not a press release after. Care, courage, the Constitution. Vote Melissa for Congress.